Okay, I hope that is straight because last live stream it was like a little bit tilted and I didn't notice. And most definitely not. Like a little bit. Is that correct now? That looks pretty much correct. Okay. Anyway, hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Aero show. It's me, your host Aero, and today we have a lot of topics to cover because unfortunately I couldn't do the Saturday show. I became very sick. I went riding in the rain. I mean, I didn't go riding in the rain. I got stuck in the rain and got a really, really bad cold to the point where I literally had to take a day off from school. Like it was bad. It was like really, really, really bad cold. So yeah, I couldn't do the Saturday show, and we have a lot of different topics to talk about. And finally, I'm feeling a little bit better. I mean, I still have a bit of cold. I still have a little bit of sore throat, but I am way better than what I was a couple of days ago. But anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream. It is me, of course, and today we have a lot of different topics that I want to talk about. We have some pretty crazy stuff that's happened, and over the past few days, we had Sri Lanka, the entire Sri Lankan government, including the president, declaring full bankruptcy. We have obviously the shooting in the July 4th parade in Chicago. That was pretty big. We have obviously the big story of the day, Tesla getting overtaken by another company and become they okay, I can't explain this properly. Tesla is no longer the world's largest server supplier of electric cars. They have been overtaken by a Chinese company called BYD. Obviously, we have some little bit of tech news. We got two new phones that came out this week: the ROG Phone 6 lineup and the Mi 12s Ultra. And we have a lot of other kind of like online drama stuff we want to talk about, especially the iShow Speed stuff, which is by far, I think, over the 6 episodes, I think this is the dumbest thing we have had to talk about. Oh, but yeah. Anyway, I think we should get started. It In terms of upgrades, I found out that you can have different profiles. Like this is my main profile, and then I have another one, and you can have another one just on a random account that I had like years ago with none of my private information, so that it doesn't get accidentally leaked. But this doesn't really look that good. I mean, obviously, I haven't done any customizability, any personalization. I haven't done that. So yeah. Anyway, we're oh god, it's 11:24. I'm already extremely late. That is still curved. Uh, Please tell me I didn't make it worse. No, I think it's straight. I think it's straight enough. Okay, so our first topic of the day: Boris Johnson fighting to stay in power after two of the top ministers and a few junior officials resigned from his Conservative Party. So Boris Johnson, the current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has been dealing with a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of news about him, and this one's a pretty big one because it's a pretty big blow to the conservative government that is currently in power. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that, and that is going to be our first topic of today. So our first topic is by NPR, and let me just manually increase the exposure. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, Boris Johnson fights to stay as British Prime Minister as his party support unravels. A defended by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson battled to stay in power on Wednesday after the resignation of the two top ministers and a slew of more junior officials who said they could no longer serve under his scandal-tarred leadership. Johnson is known for his uncanny ability to wiggle out of tight spots. That is true. He's somehow managed to get out scot-free of some pretty stupid stuff that he's done. But a series of accusations of misdeeds have pushed him to the brink, and some of his fellow conservative lawmakers worry now the leader has a renown for his affiliability could be a liability in elections. Many are also concerned that the ability of a weakened Johnson not only narrowly survived a no-confidence vote last month to govern at a time of increasing economic and social strain. This economic and social strain obviously refers to the worldwide inflation that is going on, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. At a weekly Prime Minister question session in Parliament on Wednesday, members of the opposition Labour Party shouted, "Go, go." Then, more damningly, more members of his own Conservative Party challenged the leader. Lawmaker Tim Logton was the first to ask whether if there was anything that might prompt him to resign. Frankly, the job of a prime minister is in difficult circumstances where he has been given a colossal mandate is to keep going, Johnson replied. His fellow conservatives listened quietly, offering little support. The grilling of the first two challenges Wednesday for the leader, he must get through a long scheduled interrogation by a committee of senior lawmakers later in the day. How he handles the tough questions could indicate whether a simmering rebellion in his conservative party can gather enough strength to oust him. Also on the horizon is a vote in the powerful party committee that could signal whether lawmakers have the appetite to push for another no confidence measure. Months of discontent over Johnson's judgment and ethics within the government Conservative Party erupted with the resignation of Treasury Chief Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid within minutes of each other on Thursday evening. The two heavyweights of the cabinets were responsible for the tackling of the two biggest issues facing Britain: the cost of living crisis that is going up due to inflation and a lot of other economic factors, and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In a scathing letter, Sunak said the public rightly expects the government to be conducted properly, competently, and seriously. I believe these standards are worth fighting for, and that is why I am resigning. Yes, the public does expect a lot from the government, and I rightly expect government to be conducted properly, competently, and seriously. I believe that the UK government, in my opinion, is doing these things arguably better than what most of the media thinks, but obviously due to the higher level of expectations from the British population, it is not up to what people's expectations are, and that is why he is resigning. So I hope that this turns out good for both parties. If you have a good opposition party that criticizes you and offers some kind of solution, I feel like both parties, he's the ruling party and the opposition party, could benefit from this, and it could in turn benefit the entire British population, and that is what we are after. That is what we are. I forgot what I wanted to say. That is what we're going for. Jawed said the party needed humility, grip, and a new direction, but it is clear the situation will not change under your leadership. Humility, I don't think, is necessary here. I think just a like plain criticism, like, hey, this is what we expect. This is what you're supposed to do. I feel like that much is enough, and if the media picks up on that, I feel like that'll be enough for the government to start making changes that will help the British population, because of all of these different factors. We're just exiting a pandemic. We have prices of living are going higher and higher every day, and to combat that properly, I think the government needs to do something quick. Mindful of the need to show off confidence, Johnson quickly replaced the two ministers, promoting Nadim Zahawi from the Education Department to Treasury Chief. Why do I keep saying chief? It's chief, and installing his chief of staff, Steve Barclay, as health secretary. But a string of resignations late Tuesday and early Wednesday from more junior ministers from both the liberal and right-wing branches of the Conservative Party showed that danger to Johnson was far from over. In the past few months, Johnson has been fined by police and slammed by investigations report for government parties that flouted the COVID-19 restrictions they imposed on others. Saw 41% of conservative lawmakers vote to out him in the no confidence vote, and watched formerly loyal Lithuanians urge him to resign. So the parliament isn't a huge fan and of Johnson. Obviously, they would agree that Johnson isn't up to the expectations of what the parliament or anybody else had. He got what 41% of the conservative lawmakers vote. So in politics, that is like a barely kind of win. So yeah, through it all, he has vowed to carry on governing, even suggesting he wanted to stay in office until the 2030s. A charismatic leader and his rises of, I don't think, like, based on his character, I don't think he was that type of a person to give up any kind of power and resign. I feel like he will go until he is outvoted by someone else. That's my opinion, however, and it could change. Honestly, I feel like if this kind of pressure gets to the best of him, I don't think he would want to stay in office for much longer. That honestly still depends on the circumstances that he's dealing with. A charismatic leader and his crisis of character. But former International Development and Security Andrew Mitchell was among several members of the Conservative Party who told Johnson his time was up. It's a bit like the death of Rasputin. He's been poisoned, stabbed, he's been shot, his body's been dumped in a freezing river, and he still lives. He told the BBC, but this is an abnormal prime minister, a brilliantly charismatic, very funny, very amusing, big character. I'm afraid he has neither the character nor the temperament to be our prime minister. Now, comparing presidential offices like kind of last hurrah to the death of some fictional character, I don't think is particularly a good comparison, but he is a point. With all through all that Boris Johnson and his party has been in, he still managed to squeeze out 59%. Yeah, 59% of the votes. So good on him. The final straw for Sunak and Javed was the Prime Minister's shifting explanations about his handling of sexual misconduct allegations against a senior Conservative lawmaker. Last week, his Pincher resigned as Conservative Deputy Chief Whip after complaints he groped two men at a private club. That triggered a series of reports about past allegations leveled against Pincher and questions about what Johnson knew when he tapped Pincher for a senior job enforcing party discipline. Johnson's office initially said he wasn't aware of the previous accusations when he promoted Fincher in February. By Monday, a spokesperson said Johnson did not know of the allegations, but they were either resolved or did not progress to a formal complaint. That is not much visible, so I'll just zoom in a little bit more. I think that's more visible. When a former top civil servant in the Foreign Office contradicted that, saying Johnson was briefly about a 2019 allocation that resulted in a formal complaint, Johnson's office said the Prime Minister had forgotten about the briefing. It was all too much for the ministers to have sent on to radio and TV and defend the government's position, only to find it change. And looks like they're pushing for another no confidence vote. So Bin Afolomi, who quit as Conservative Party Vice Chairman on Thursday, said he's been willing to give Johnson the benefit of the doubt until the Pincher affair. I am also giving Boris Johnson the benefit of the doubt for your information. Once again, if you have any kind of objection to this, you can leave it down in the comment section and I'll make sure to read it. The difficulty is not overall the program of the government. The government has done a lot of positive things that unite the Conservative Party, he said. The problem is character and integrity in the Downing Street, and I think that people in the Conservative Party and people in the country know that. Yes, I think character does play a lot for why the why Boris Johnson's presidential thing is a lot, a lot of hot water right now, and I think that just comes down to his character. Like, it's just my like I feel like watching all his like interviews and what all he has said and all his speeches, he's not taken that seriously. There's not much like seriousness towards someone that controls, one of the world's greatest economies. So yeah, the difficulty is overall, not overall the program of the government. The government has done a lot of positive things that unite the Conservative Party. He said the problem is character and oh wait, I already read that. But Paul Drexler, the chair of the International Chambers of Commerce, warned that soaring food and energy prices are reaching crisis proportions and need to be addressed by a leader who isn't distracted. Yes, obviously we have a lot of countries that are going to start suffering from this, and UK has to do something about it because they have a lot more to lose than these other countries. Like if they start getting bad press, it's not just about bad press, is that you know how you like British people are more vocal and more like more connected it with everyone else. So this could start a huge protest if living conditions become in quotes unlivable, which is already happening throughout the world. All we have obviously the United States, we have of course Sri Lanka, we have many other countries that are going to start entering this high inflation, high cost of living kind of standard. And the UK has to do something now when it is still mostly like lukewarm. It's like lukewarm water. You should not, start taking action when it becomes boiling hot. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? I would say the most important thing to do now is to feed people who are hungry, he told the BBC. I mean, there's a burning platform at the moment. The poorest in our society is going to be starving to death at till the second half of this year. That needs to be addressed. Johnson's opponents in the party have hope more cabinet members will follow Sunak and David. Through for now, other top officials, including Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, and Home Secretary Priti Patel, are staying put. Opponents are also trying to force another no confidence vote over the Prime Minister. The existing rules require 12 months between such votes, but the rules are made by a party committee and can't be changed. Elections for the committee's executives are due in the next few weeks. And that is the end of the article. Well, once again, my opinion is, regardless of who is running in the office, I think any form of action that anyone who's in who has a role like Boris Johnson does has to do something about it to avoid any kind of crisis in the future. That's all I have to say. This article is by NPR. I will have it in the description down below. And that is our first story down. Out. Moving on to our second story, which is also pretty juicy. Twitter sues the Indian government over them pressuring Twitter to remove content criticizing the failures of the government and the prime minister. So India always has some kind of like some kind of like freedom of speech kind of they always had a problem against freedom of speech. Obviously, I think last episode we covered that whole Mohammed Zubair thing where he was arrested and a lot of stuff happened. Actually, I actually don't know. There's some kind of is there any update that happened? Okay, so he's extended his police custody has extended. Oh no, that was a week ago. So, is there not any kind of update? Okay, I don't think anything has come here. To 14 days judicial custody. This was 4 days ago. Okay, maybe we'll check that out for on Saturday's show. But anyway, Twitter launches legal challenge in India over orders to block content. This article is by CNN Business, and if you fuck off, it'll be in the description down below. So, Twitter has announced its first legal challenge to the Indian government over officials to take down content. The social media company has had a tough time in India since last year, spending months locked in a high-stakes standoff with the government of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi over freedom of speech. At one point, the company was even the target of a handful of police investigations, and Twitter called them intimidation tactics and said that it was concerned about the safety of its employees in the country. But to the disappointment of free speech activists, it chose not to take legal action against the government. Oh, wait, no, this is poorly worded. So it chose not to take legal action against the government, and that led to the disappointment of free speech activists. Come on, CNN, fix your fix your English until now. Oh, the San Francisco-based company filed a petition. Is it petition? Petition before the High Court of Karnataka, a state in southwest India, on Tuesday, according to a listing reviewed online by CNN Business. Twitter declined to comment on the case, which is obviously the case is just starting. You wouldn't want to disclose much information to the public. And we will get more information about this case later on when courts start getting involved. Uh, it'll happen. It'll progress. Obviously, now there's not much information. There's just information about what they're doing, why they're doing, and that's it. There's no advances made yet to our awareness. But a source similar with the filing said that the company has designed to challenge some orders by the government as they demonstrate excessive use of powers and are disproportionate. So yes, in the past there have always been cases where the Indian government has tried to crack down on critical tweets, critical basically critical content about them, by using their, people call it, their power, yeah, excessive use of powers, and you can call it whatever you want. And in some cases, yes, the government is wrong and is violating not only free speech, but other kinds of laws that we'll get into a little bit later. In the past, authorities have asked Twitter to remove posts critical of Narendra Modi, the government, including its handling of the brutal second wave of the coronavirus pandemic in the country last spring. Yes, okay, that is honestly deserved in my opinion. The way that India handled the second wave of COVID-19, which was in April to June, was horrible. If you guys don't know, India had a bad lack of oxygen. It was really bad. And why? And this was a time where there was the elections going on, campaigns were going on, people were getting out of the pandemic and started traveling. And when you combine all these three, the lack of proper oxygen production, a massive election that is going on where hundreds of thousands, millions of people are coming together to listen to see what their leaders have to say. And on top of that, people are finally getting out of a pandemic after almost being a year inside. It was bad. Like, there were people outside hospitals that had oxygen tanks hooked up to them. I know this. I have seen this, and it is horrible. It is so bad. The government handled it extremely poorly, in my opinion. And you know what the problem is? This could have easily been fixed, because when the pandemic started, they pledged to build more oxygen plants and to further kind of make the transportation of oxygen, from the oxygen plants to the hospitals more efficient. But that never happened, and it was all due to misplaced priorities. Now, I'm saying, people were really pissed about this. Like, how could the government let this happen? And it got so bad that the Indian government was trying to censor all of this criticism and censor all of this all of these posts and tweets critical of them. So yeah, there was that, and that is the last one that I can remember like fully, like I actually know what happened. Authorities are treating people for content posted online and regularly into intimidating web platforms and social media services into complying with its censorship, said Ramanjit Singh Chema, Senior International Council and Asia Pacific Policy Officer at digital rights group Access Now. Chima and other free speech advocates have accused the government of trying to censor journalists, protest groups, and opposition lawmakers with its blocking orders, which are rarely made public. Today, Twitter is standing up for the population and doing what it should be the government's job, safeguarding our rights, he added. India's tech ministry threatened Twitter last month with serious consequences, including initiating criminal proceedings against its executives if the company failed to comply with the agency's orders to remove some tweets and block accounts, the source said. While the company has blocked access to the content in India for now, it is seeking judicial review with some of the orders. The company believes that they violate the country's technology laws and threaten freedom of speech, according to the source. Yes, any form of censorship, whether it's censorship towards journalists, censorship towards protest groups, I mean, that honestly depends on the type of protest. If it's a something that is really dumb that they're protesting for, I can understand why they are against it and why they would want it on stuff to stop. But even that has to be done in a very very systematic manner and should be made public. It should be properly executed, not just going and arresting people. That is not how it is supposed to work. When the okay, we finished that. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology did not reply for a request to comment, but India's junior IT minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar said in a tweet on Tuesday that foreign internet platforms have a right to court and judicial review in India without mentioning Twitter. He added that all platforms operating in the country have an unambiguous obligation to comply with our laws and rules. But they do comply with laws and your rules. You have a law for freedom of speech, and if your freedom of speech doesn't allow criticism and critical press coverage of your failures, then how is that in any way freedom of speech? People can always go on about how freedom of speech should not include hate speech. There is a difference between hate speech and criticism. Criticism is something is basically informing you and the informing yourselves and everyone else about what you have done and how this is wrong and how you should have done it this way. Hate speech is telling like, let's give an example for criticism. Like, for example, the government the Indian government, massively he underestimated what happened in the second wave of COVID-19. And the way I would tweet something about it, and I would say it's really disappointing to see such misplaced priorities of the Indian government, and they not only managed to not fulfill their promise of building more oxygen plants, they also completely forgot about how easily COVID could spread during a full packed election. That is criticism. Not only am I saying something true, not only am I okay, I didn't mention ways to solve it. Obviously, the ways to solve it is to fucking go with what you say. But okay, well, we'll ignore that. But so, hate speech is like, oh, fuck the government, and they should all go and do. Okay, I can't say any kind of hate speech on here, but I'm trying to give an example of how hate speech is different than freedom of speech. Freedom of speech should only be like, people should only be censored if what they're saying is false or blatantly what is the word, like like misrepresented or out of context. Even in those cases, it should be met with proper respect, and proper procedures have to be done. Like first contacting them, telling them, like the government should contact whatever whoever or whatever group of people like put out this information. So yeah, there's like four things that the government uh, can violate the freedom of speech, or we can say everything. One, if one, if they can censor someone who is telling who is spreading provably false information. That is one thing. Second is misrepresentation of, or you can say poorly worded, not poorly worded. Actually, you can say poorly worded, or you can say out of context information. You could also say, obviously, hate speech, harassment, threatening, that, and that's about it. I don't know if I'm missing something, but oh yeah, obviously, censoring something that is highly confidential to avoid it getting leaked and massively publicized. I feel like these four things are the only things that, and these four things obviously make sense. You don't want false information to be spreading. You don't want hate speech to be hateful content to be spreading. You don't want I forgot what the other two. I forgot the other two. You know what you know what I'm saying. Like there are four exceptions, and none in to of all the cases that the government has tried to censor someone, it has never fallen in any of these four cases. If someone is going to criticize you, you're not allowed to censor that. That is against the very nature of freedom of speech. It's to protect the truth. I know I'm trying to sound like some stupid anti-nationalist here. I don't care. What I'm trying to say is that we have to protect journalism at all cost, because journalism is basically a text-based version of commentary. So the whole, like, not only is this going to affect commentary, this is going to affect journalism, this is going to affect media and the press coverage, and we have to do something to make sure that not only are people aware about what is going on, but people are aware that the government is trying to censor its, let's say, shortcomings. Okay, I went on and on about that, but oh my god. Anyway, the lawsuit by Twitter is the latest tussle in increasing contentious relationship between Silicon Valley tech companies and one of the largest markets. India's ruling party has identified its crackdown on social media and messaging apps since last year. Yeah, India did. That whole China thing. They removed a lot of apps. Like I think I can bring up that. I think it was 53 apps from China. Please tell me there's a list. Yeah. In 2022, due to this whole China India versus thing, they banned 53 apps, I think. And some of these, 54, you might, some of these you might be able to like recognize. Like I definitely recognize this. I recognize actually nothing. I mean, all of this is stuff that I would never use, and I would argue my community would never use. Like for example, lots of it is music player, which I can understand as a security measure, because you're giving these apps access to your camera, access to what you're listening, and that's a game. That is a game. A security app from China. Okay, whatever. A video editor. I think. Oh, Tencent. So, like 3 games you can say. What the hell is Nice Video Baidu? Please tell me what the hell this is. You can search for words, images, sounds, night. Okay. We have a lot of like tools that I would never expect to be bad. Obviously, it's like China; they literally have everything in hardware, so obviously, they would have everything in software. I don't recognize any of this except for where did that go? Like this, like AppLock, like before Samsung and Xiaomi and all the other companies started including AppLock on their phones. This app was really popular, and I don't recognize anything. And these apps would obviously have to have some form of like publicity for them to be not only noticed by the government, but actually seen as a threat and banned. But I don't see anything here. So yeah, that's what I was basically talking about. So yeah, American tech firms repeatedly expressed fears last year that the country's tech rules may erode privacy, usher in mass surveillance, and harm business in the world's fastest growing digital market. Yes, India is the world's fastest growing digital market, especially with companies like Reliance, Amazon, Microsoft, and I forgot the other one. Xiaomi. Yeah, because of all of these companies, India is actually the fastest growing digital market. They have lots of phones being sold in India, and there's competition is high here. I know that. The rules, which was issued on February 2021, includes demands that technology companies create special compliance officers in India. These are also requirements that services remove some content, including posts that feature full or partial nudity. Okay, that also I can understand. Okay, additionally, tech platforms have to trace the first originator of or messages if asked by authorities. The requirement compelled WhatsApp, owned by Facebook, owned like Facebook by wait, what? What the requirement compelled WhatsApp, owned by Facebook, by Meta, to file a legal complaint against the government in May last year. WhatsApp said the demand would break the platform's end-to-end encryption, fundamentally undermines people's right to privacy. Yes, not only did WhatsApp had a huge issue in India where the Indian government basically sent an order for them requiring them to give information and data about its users, and WhatsApp refused, and it caused a huge scandal. This even happened between WhatsApp and the United Kingdom, and obviously, it is a fundamental right for someone to have their own privacy. And I can understand, yes, privacy, complete privacy obviously has many drawbacks. There is, if you would give a government your data, your app's data, it is way easier to track down crimes that may be happening on that app. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if let's say pictures of, I don't know, underage minors that are being shared on WhatsApp, not only is that illegal, but you can if the government is able to find this, they can track down who sent it, where is it from, and go and push criminal charges against them. Now, that is the main reason why all of these countries are demanding WhatsApp to give them the users' data. And while this is true, it'll make it'll reduce the possibility of crimes. It will reduce um, a lot of bad things that happen. But I don't think it is worth sacrificing our privacy. And people will argue that, hey, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, and that is true. I have literally nothing to hide. I can say that without anything. In fact, I can just press Control H and look through this, and you can see it is just YouTube Creator Studio, Google Docs, and the stuff that we are looking today. That is all that there is. I have literally nothing to hide. And I'm sure many of us are like that. We have nothing to hide. We haven't done any crimes. We don't have anything, secret. We don't do anything. But still, that doesn't give us a right for the government and to invade our privacy. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, the case is pending. A spokesperson for the company told CNN Business on Wednesday. Twitter previously crashed with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology at the beginning of last year, or accounts that the agency wanted taken down a series of protests by farmers. Uh, was this related to the burning of crops thing? Maybe, I don't know. Twitter compiled with some of the requests but refused to take down actions against accounts of journalists, activists, or politicians. So I forgot to say this, I'm actually really glad that Twitter is standing up for all the journalists and all the media companies that are talking about this. Not only does it show that Twitter actually cares about the right of freedom of speech, but they do know what the boundaries are. So yeah, Twitter also expressed concerns over the IT rules last year and said that it has plans to advocate for changes to elements of these regulations that inhibit free, open public conversation. In its lawsuit this week, Twitter has not challenged India's technology law but has said the government's blocking orders are disproportionate in several cases, according to the source. India's free speech activists welcomed the move on Tuesday. Many of them had said last year that they felt down by Twitter's inability to take a firm stand against the government. Some feel the company could have gone further. Yes, they could have gone further, but they would have they have a lot to lose. Who's like completely getting banned in India is a really high chance for them. So they want to take it slowly, and they want to take it seriously. So obviously we cannot expect a lot from this, but we can still expect a lot because Twitter is really one of the biggest social media networks in India. Like, other than maybe Reddit, there is nothing. There is no other than Reddit and obviously news apps like Google News or CNN's app or whatever. There is no way to share stuff regarding like professional stuff like politics or news or everything. All of this information I do get it from Twitter, by scouring and reading articles. So this could be a huge blow to not only everyone in India who is actually interested in the stuff that is spread on Twitter, but it is a huge blow to Twitter because they lose part of a massive part of its users. And this doesn't just affect the Indian citizens; it affects everyone inside the government and as well, because many Indian politicians tweet. They talk about stuff that's happening throughout the country. They talk about their future plans. They talk about the shortcomings. They talk about how basically everything that is related to uh, politics. So yeah, this could be it's not just a case of Twitter is going to get banned in India. They could still have massive restrictions. They could be forced into compliance. Their management team or any of their employees could be put under criminal charges for not complying with the government, and there is nothing that Twitter can do about it. So they're narrowly challenge the orders of the Indian government in these specific instances instead of challenging the lack of accountability by the Indian government that the IT Acts enabled, said Nikhil Pahwa, Delhi-based farmer of tech website Media Nama. Twitter has the opportunity to do much more, and they've fallen short of trying to make meaningful substances change, he added. So yeah, that's the end. And oh god, yeah, how long have I spent on this article? Anyway, what my point is, whatever Twitter is doing, at least they're trying to show to the public that they do care about free speech and anti-censorship against journalists, news and media companies, the press, and most importantly, everyone else, including me and you. Like, we still have a very, very very, very good privilege that we can go on Twitter and talk about how the shortcomings or the bad the failures of our government. and I'm sure y'all in the U.S. are using this to the fullest extent. I mean, I see Biden is a failure trending every single goddamn day. It's honestly funny. Like every single day, how does it trend every single day, and this dude is still in office? Like I understand, and so some of the stuff he's done, like that stupid gas station tweet that he made. Hello, am I back? Okay, okay, it's working. So what I was saying was, we have, thankfully, we do have some sort of freedom of speech. Like I argue that someone like me with not a lot of presence on Twitter wouldn't necessarily be affected by any kind of like censorship, but a small guy on Twitter. Imagine all the big people who are going to be affected by this, and we have to do everything to preserve the limited kind of freedom of speech that we have. Obviously, in limits. I don't want to, like make freedom of speech such a big thing that people are actually spreading, false information and calling it freedom of speech, or spreading inappropriate or stuff against TOS that is, um, putting put under, oh yeah, it's freedom of speech. Obviously freedom of speech should have its limits, and that's what I am trying to say. So yeah, that's the end of this article. Well, yeah, if you want to read it yourself, it's gonna be in the description down below. And let's move on. It is 12:11. Okay, so that is it for the politics section. I think this should have really been in the tech section, but a lot of it was about politics. So yeah, this is not that readable. So I'm gonna try to decrease the, yeah, I think I should just disable uh, autofocus and turn it on that, and then lower the exposure fully. There we go. I think that is much readable. It's not as clear as it is, but okay, whatever. Moving on, we're done with the politics section, and we're now on the news and recent events. So starting off with this, I forgot what this. Starting off with this genre, there was a shooting in a Independence Day parade that was happening in suburban part of Chicago. It was obviously the 4th of July parade, and a gunman went to the was obviously we're gonna talk about it later, but he was disguised as a woman. He went on top of a building and just massed like, what is it, a correct term for it, like just mass fired, and 30 people were injured. 6 people unfortunately were passed away. And yeah, this is obviously shaken and by the news. It's people are still talking about this and gun violence. I'm not gonna be elaborating on the gun violence thing. I'm just going to say, I don't think I would want to show that, because I don't want to deal with any kind of demonetization for showing the criminal's face. Yes, he was a person of interest, as they call it. He was arrested. Okay. Is that readable? Yes, that is. Okay. So Highland Park 3, what is AP? I think Associated Press. That's what it means. means a shooter fired on Independence Day parade from a rooftop in a suburb in Chicago, spraying the crowd with gunshots initially mistaken for fireworks before hundreds of panicked people of all ages fled in terror. At least 6 people were killed and at least 30 were wounded. An hours long, an hour long. What the hell is hours long? It's an hour-long manhunt during which residents hunkered down in businesses or received police escorts to their homes. Ended with a traffic stop and a brief chase on Monday evening when the authorities detained a man they prescribed as a person of interest. They gave no motive for the attack in Highland Park, an affluent community of about 30,000 on Chicago's North Shore. The July 4th shooting was the latest to shatter the rituals of American life. Schools, churches, grocery stores, and now community parades have all become killing grounds in recent months. This time, the bloodshed came as the nation tried to find cause to celebrate its founding and bonds that still holds it together. It definitely hits a lot harder when it's not only your hometown, but it's also right in front of you. Resident Roz Tuazon said as he and a best friend returned to the parade route Monday evening to retrieve chairs, blankets, and a child's bike that he and his family abandoned when the shooting began. It's commonplace now. We don't blink anymore until lost change. It's gonna be more of the same. That is true. We have to do something about this. How many more hours does it require for there to be action? Like, I don't know. Oh, like, if this was a priority of a massive government like the United States, I feel like such an issue would be addressed instantly. However, we have fucked up priorities and we can't really do anything about that. So yeah, the shooting occurred at a spot on the parade route with many residents had stacked out prime viewing points early in the day for the annual celebration. Among them was Nicolas Toledo, who was visiting his family in Illinois from Mexico. He was shot and unfortunately killed at the scene. His granddaughter, jeez, what the hell? Xochitl Toledo told the Chicago Sun-Times. Also killed was Jackie E. Sundame, a lifelong congregant and beloved staff member at nearby North Shore Congregation Israel, which announced her death on his website. Dozens of fired bullets sent hundreds of parade goers, some visibly covered in... How do you say this without fearing? I don't want to fear some form of limited ads or something. Some form of... visibly injured, fleeing. They left a trail of abandoned items that showed everyday life suddenly being violently disrupted. A box of chocolate cookies spilled onto the grass, a child's Chicago's Cubs cap, a baby strollers, and some bearing American flags. There is no safe place, said Highland Park resident Barbara Hardy, 73, who had stayed away from the parade fearing a mass shooting but later ventured from her home. Highland Park Police Chief Lou Jogman said the police officer pulled over Robert E. Crime 03 about 5 miles or 8 kilometers north of the shooting scene. Several hours after police released the man's photo and warned that he was likely armed and dangerous, authorities initially said he was about 22, but an FBI bulletin and criminal social media said he was 21. Police declined to immediately identify Crimo as a suspect, but said identifying him as a person of interest, sharing his name and other information publicly was a serious step. Now that is, I wouldn't say as early as in the process you should release mugshots or names of a criminal, as if somehow this dude finds out to be innocent, it's going to be a really bad look for everyone. But it doesn't look like that, and even though it doesn't look in this case, you still don't want to risk that. So yeah, Lake County Major Crime Task Force spokesman Christopher Covetti said in a news conference several of the deceased victims died at the scene and one died at the hospital. Lake County Coroner Jennifer Bannock said the 5 people killed at the parade were adults but didn't have information on the 6th. Police have not released details about the victims, but Toledo's granddaughter told the Sun Times that Toledo had spent most of his time in Morelos, Mexico. Xochitl Toledo said she remembers looking over at her grandfather, who was in his late 70s, as a band passed them. He was so happy, he said, happy to be living in the moment. Xochitl Toledo said her father tried to shield her grandfather and was shot in the arm. Her boyfriend was also shot in the back and was taken by someone to a nearby hospital because they weren't sure there would be enough ambulances for all the victims. Roberto Velasco, Mexican director for the North American Affairs, said on Twitter that 2 Mexicans were also wounded. Sondheim had spent decades on the staff at the North Shore Congregation Israel, early on teaching at the Congregationalist preschool and later serving as the events at the B'nai Mitzvah coordinator. All of this with tireless dedication, the congregation said in the statements announcing her death. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is about the victims, and you can read them if you want, but we don't have much time. So yeah, since the start of the year, there have been 15 shootings. I feel like that's a very low number, and they're lowballing it just don't get something wrong, where 4 or more people have been killed, including the Highland Park one, according to the Associated Press or USA Today or Northeastern University mass killing database. The shooter opened fire around 10:15 a.m. when the parade was about 3/4 through, authorities said. Highland Park Commissioner Chris O'Neill said the incident commander on scene said the gunman apparently used a high-power rifle. The hell is a high-power rifle? I'll bet you this is an AR-15. Guarantee it's an AR-15. And I don't think I think they probably named it. He used a high-power rifle to fire from a spot atop a commercial building where he was very difficult to see. Oh, he was very difficult to see. He said the rifle was recovered at the scene. Police also found a ladder attached to the building. Highlander Park Mayor Nancy Rotering told NBC's Today's show that she did not know where the gun came from, but it was illegally obtained. Wait, it was legally obtained. So once again, this is worse than an illegally obtained gun. If you think about it, if a crime is committed with an illegally obtained gun, that doesn't show much on the government or the the ease of gun violence or whatever in the United States. But this happened with a legally obtained gun, meaning that this dude was allowed to own a firearm, and that is a major red flag and is the major flaw. If you think about it, illegally obtained firearms that cause crimes on this, they are impossible to stop, because you can take a firearm from someone, but you cannot identify someone who doesn't have a legally obtained gun unless you see them carrying it and you go and ask them for a gun license. But here, even if he was questioned about why he had a gun, he still could have hid behind the defense that, hey, it was legally obtained. That is the main problem here, that people can legally obtain guns. It's not the problem that people can obtain guns illegally. That problem is virtually impossible to solve, and it's just like drugs. The huge drug stuff that is going on mostly in Chicago as well. So yeah, President Biden said on Monday that he and Jill were shocked by the senseless gun violence and has yet again brought grief to an American community on this Independence Day. In recent days, Biden signed the west-ranging gun violence bill passed by Congress in decades, a compromise that reflected. Okay, where was I? That reflected at once both progress on a long, intractable issue and the deep-seated partisan divide that persists. Crimo, who goes by the name Bobby, was an aspiring rapper with the stage name Awake the Rapper, posting on social media dozens of videos and songs, some ominous and violent. In one animated video taken down by YouTube, Kramer raps about armies walking in darkness as a drawing appears of a man pointing a rifle, a body on the ground, and another figure with hands up in the distance. Kramer's father, Bob, a long-time deli owner, ran unsuccessfully for mayor of Highland Park in 2019, calling himself a person for the people. Well, that lasted a long time. But yeah, Highland Park is a close-knit community on the shores of Lake Michigan. In blah 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 blah, and there it is. So obviously a huge tragedy caused once again by the ease of easily obtaining a firearm, which allows people like this that are either mentally ill or deliberately vicious, you could say, to easily obtain a firearm and cause massive amounts of fear, violence, and death. I mean, not death, harm. So yeah, once again, obviously I want to hopefully make some good of the bad here, and you can just Google the GoFundMe's for all of the victims who unfortunately lost their lives and their family. So yeah, you can go to this link. It'll be there down in the description. It's the official GoFundMe. Only donate using www.gofundme.com. Don't use anything else that is at your own risk. This is also at your own risk, but I recommend to just donate. I did donate. I think it was $12, and they've managed to raise $354,779 US. Yeah, 4,000 people. It'll be going to victimsfirst.org to distribute. Now I couldn't donate a lot because I'm kind of in a little bit of a hot state right now, but I'll try to double my donation and give around $25 US away, hopefully in the next week or two. Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to make something good about something horrible, and it's sad that this happened on Independence Day, which is a pretty big day for America. So yeah, once again, article by East Idaho News. It'll be in the description down below. And let's move on. We're not even halfway done. We have a lot of topics. So once again, it's gonna be that huge I feel like it's become those types of streams where you start off really slow and then rapidly speed up and then slowly fall in speed. So yeah. Let's quickly go on to our next topic. Shanghai, China bangs karaoke lounges after COVID-19 cases start to rise again. So China is going through a little bit of I'd say second round two. Shanghai versus COVID-19. That is the wrong keyboard. That could have actually gone wrong. Can I get rid of that screen? No, I cannot. Okay. That is the correct keyboard. I wish, something like Synergy existed for, a phone and a PC, and not only am I getting extremely sleepy, I'm also getting tired. So, yeah, what was I saying? China battles karaoke COVID cluster in Shanghai among other outbreaks. We'll read the summary later. So, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, too much. But too less. Okay, there we go. July 6th, Reuters, China is fighting nascent COVID-19 flare-ups across the country with mass testing and fresh restrictions, including in very Shanghai, where new cases have been linked to a building which houses karaoke lounges that was operating illegally. Pressure is mounting on officials to avert a virus spread and disruptions similar to the painful and cost isolation that Shanghai, China's most popular city, suffered in April and May. Those business disruptions ripple across the global economy. Several Chinese areas are facing local outbreaks, and infections have emerged at the community level in Shanghai. City health officials Zhao Dundan told reporters on Wednesday there should be no slacking. While the latest is daily caseload of just over 300 infections is insignificant. Geez, I really wonder why I can't say that. By global standards, the officials' reaction showed China's firm commitment to its policy to eradicate all outbreaks. However, fears that lockdowns to control the spread of the disease could curb activity in the world's second largest economy weighed on Chinese stocks. China is the only major economy digging its heels in a zero COVID policy aimed at promptly eradicating all outbreaks while the rest of the world tries to coexist with the virus. Now, China is not really the company who should. I mean, company China. Yeah, the company China, the country China is not really. I don't think this is like a good policy, like a zero COVID policy, especially for such a big and large country like China with literally the largest population. That might not be entirely possible. Maybe, but practically no. I feel like smaller countries should have a zero COVID policy. I mean, obviously it's a good thing, but as a zero COVID policy is, I don't think possible based on the population in China and just how large of a country it is and how divided and vast the population is distributed across China. It's gonna be a little bit of a uphill battle. That's all I'll say. Shanghai listed 26 addresses of buildings under lockdown on Wednesday, taking the total to 31. One COVID case was suspected from the iconic International Financial Center, Twin Towers, and office workers on 2 floors have been taken to quarantine as close contacts, according to staff in the building. The commercial hub of 25 million people reported 24 new cases for Thursday versus Monday's 8. It is testing all of its 9 exchange districts and from other areas from Tuesday to Thursday. Is that it? Oh wait, no. No. Fuck. So what I was saying was, where the fuck did it go? Yeah, okay. China is the only major. Okay, no, I just read that. I also just read that. Shanghai already requires residents to get tested frequently in order to enter shopping malls or take public transport. Authorities have suspended operations of karaoke lounges, but other recently reopened controlled venues such as libraries will stay open. Cinemas are due to reopen on Friday, which is 2 days from now. Beijing, which actually no, 1 day from now. I should clarify. It's past midnight. Beijing, which reported 3 new cases on Wednesday as of 3 p.m. That is fucking amazing how they've managed to take that. You know how big Beijing is? It's huge. There are people literally everywhere, and in that kind of city, they have managed to keep cases relatively low. Obviously 3 new cases and it's going to spread exponentially if they handle it poorly. But yeah, as of 3 p.m. urged transport hubs and hotels to check the body temperature of visitors and proof of negative COVID test results. From July 11th, only vaccinated Beijing residents can enter crowded venues, officials said. I think pretty much oh my god, I need to stop clicking on the read more. Stupid. Okay, chat, not gonna lie, I'm actually getting really tired. It's actually becoming really hard to talk. But I'll try and finish at least till the business news, and we'll try to finish the this. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so the caseload in the eastern Anhui province, where more than 1 million people in small towns are under lockdown, dipped to 222 on Tuesday from 21 from 231 a day before. The province still accounts for China's new infections. In the northwestern city of Xi'an, in the Shanxi province, a 7-day closure of various entertainment venues and suspensions of dining in at restaurants were into effect on Wednesday. The city of 13 million detected 11 new cases. Once again, incredible. Xi'an, famed for its terracotta army, is the first major Chinese city to declare a fight against the BA 5.2 subvariant of the Omicron variant of COVID, seen as more infectious than the BA.2 subvariant found in earlier outbreaks in China. Shanxi Governor Zhao Yi, Zhao Yare, I think, or Yi, I'm so sorry, but anyway, said the province's cities should enter a wartime state and ramp up screening of travelers. In the earlier Jiangsu province, 65 new cases were detected on Tuesday. The Chinese Athletes Association has cancelled the November 2022 World Athletes Half Marathon Championship that was supposed to be held in the province in Yangon. So it was supposed to be held in November. It's not going to be the same. Okay, maybe there might be other different uh, things, but anyway, this article goes on and on about how what all has been blocked in China, and if you wish to read it, you can. The article is down in the description down below. So yeah, basically, Shanghai karaoke venues are suspended after the new outbreak. Shanxi governor calls for wartime state to stamp out case. China HK stocks dropped on COVID flare-ups. That is all that there is to this. And yeah, once again, article by Reuters, and it'll be down in the description down below. Okay, so I'm becoming really tired. I don't know what it is about today, but I think I'll just take a minute, and we're not even halfway done. We still have. Let me bring this here. Yes, I got a new cable for ours, so I can actually use my second monitor. And you know what the problem is, chat? There's a problem with this monitor, and you can see this green line. Yeah, it's really annoying, but there's nothing I can do about that. So, why did that not open? So, we finished that, and you guys can't read that because I'm dumb and then change the exposure. I need to have like a dial, like the ability to set up a dial. So yeah, what the fuck? Anyway, we finished that. We just finished that. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 more topics. Come on, okay. Let me just take a quick breather and I'll be right back, Chan. Alright, I'm back. I'm just gonna move this a little bit so I can lay back because I am actually really tired. But the problem is, I'm gonna break my boom arm. But anyway, I'm laid back a little bit because I'm actually really tired. And I want to try and complete this show at least a little bit. Okay, so our next topics. Saudi Arabia has raised the price of oil to Asia once again. Okay, I was sick about talking about U.S. gas oil prices now, so now we have moved on to Asia. So, yeah, due to, you know what? Where the hell is my cursor? Okay, I genuinely am falling asleep. If I fall asleep during okay. Anyway, so Saudi Arabia hikes oil prices to Asia once again. Saudi Arabia has raised the price of its oil to Asia once again. The kingdom will be lifting its official selling prices to all regions except the United States. The move is a sign that Saudi Arabia sees robust demand throughout the summer. Saudi Arabia on Tuesday raised again the prices of its oil going to Asia in August to close the record differentials in a widely expected move that tracks strong refining margins and expectations of robust demand. Saudi Aramco announced on Tuesday that it was lifting its official selling prices (OSP) to all regions except the United States, where no change in differentials was made. The price of Saudi Arabia's flagship Arab Light crude grade to Asia in August was raised by $2.80 a barrel to $9.30 per barrel over the Dubai/Oman benchmark. Oman is another country that is on the south, like the southmost part of this, like the Saudi plateau thing. It's right next to Yemen. So yeah, that was in line with a Bloomberg survey of refiners and traders from last week, and slightly above the average $2.40 per barrel increase expected by traders and refiners in a Reuters poll. The August price of Arab Light was $9.30 over Dubai and Oman, and is just 5 cents away from the record high differential $9.35 a barrel premium from Oman and Dubai from earlier this year. The Saudis have also lifted the price of other grades for Asia in August, with extra light in a record premium. Aramco announced smaller increases in prices of extra light, Arab Light, and medium to both the Mediterranean region and the Northwest Europe. All prices for the U.S. market remain the same as last month, according into the Aramco's pricing table shared by Amanka Baker, chief correspondent and deputy bureau chief at Energy Intelligence. And that's it. That was a pretty short one. And do I have anything to say? No, I'm actually. What did I do today? Oh yeah, yeah. So I went walk. I went for a really long walk. In the I didn't have work today and I had nothing to do, so I just sat and I just stood up and just walked. That's why I am very tired. So, and I am honestly thinking about ending the show in 17 minutes instead of an hour and 17 minutes. I think a 2-hour show might be the best option for today because I'm very tired. So, in order to do that, I am going to skip some of the topics right here, and we'll get on to the next. And we'll get it on the next live stream. But we're just gonna cover some of the big events that happened. Like for example, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka said that Sri Lanka is bankrupt. We already spoke a little bit about this in the beginning, but yeah, Sri Lanka is going through a massive economic crisis. They stopped selling fuel. Everything is shut down, and stuff is going haywire. So yeah, article is by CNN World, and I'll have it down in the description down below. So yeah, Colombo, Sri Lanka is bankrupt. British Prime Minister Ranil, oh jeez, Vic Remy Singh. Vikrami Singh said on Tuesday as the country suffers its worst financial crisis in decades, leaving millions struggling to buy food, medicine, and fuel. What was his name? Ranil told lawmakers at negotiations with International Monetary Funds or IMF have to reduce the country's collapsed economy are difficult because South Asian nation of 22 million has entered the talks as a bankrupt country rather than a developing one. We are not participating in the negotiations as a bankrupt country, therefore we have to face a more difficult and complicated solution than previous negotiations, Ronald said in a parliament. Due to the state of bankruptcy your country is in, we have to submit a plan to our debt sustainability to the IMF separately. He added, only when they are satisfied with that plan can we reach our agreement at a staff level. This is not a straightforward process. Sri Lanka is in the middle of its worst financial crisis in 7 decades after its foreign exchange reserves plummeted to record lows when dollars running out to pay for essential imports including food, medicine, and fuel. Schools have been suspended and fuels have been limited to essential services. We already spoke about this. In major cities, including the commerce capital, Colombo, hunters continue to queue for hours to buy fuel, sometimes sometimes clashing with police and the military as they wait. On the Sunday, Sri Lanka Energy Minister Kachana Vijayasekara said the country was less than a day's worth of fuel left. In terms of fuel and food, our country is going to have to face this crisis at some point in time. Fuel was crazy, food prices went up, he said, adding international crises like Russia's war in Ukraine may have made things worse. Due to the recent global crisis, the situation has become more acute, and we know who were in the fire pan that fell into the oven. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Ranil said that he hoped that a report on Tibet reconstructing and sustainability would have been submitted to the IMF by August. Once there is an agreement, a comprehensive loan assistance program would be prepared for a period of 4 years. His speech in Parliament was attributed by opposition lawmakers chanting circles of "Gotta Go Home," a reference to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was in attendance. For months, large numbers of Sri Lanka have been calling for Rajapaksa to resign over accusations of economic management. Ranil Sale said that that's not the end of the year. Inflation will rise to about 60%. Jeez. That would be a great, difficult, and a bitter journey, Ranil said, but we can get relief at the end of this journey. Progress can be made. The British government said on Tuesday that it's now advising against all essential travel to Sri Lanka due to the impact of the economic crisis. And that is the end of the article. If you want to read it, it'll be in the description down below. And okay, we're skipping one topic, and we're talking about the biggest topic of our. I didn't link I didn't link the link. Once again, let's go to control history. Where the fuck is it? Okay, that's a disappointment. I actually completely forgot about what I wanted to talk. Oh yeah. Jeez. Okay, I think if I just search up Tesla bid. What a stupid name. Okay. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And I better copy this article and post it here in my notes. God damn, I think I might have to finish this one up and just explain the two and leave because it's becoming really hard. I think I might have to reschedule this to be an even earlier show, but I don't want to. I feel like it's already prime time. But I still have to go for another hour and I'm bailing out within 10 minutes. Okay. Elon Musk Tesla no longer the world's top seller of electric cars. Wow, surprise. Tesla's commanding lead in the electric vehicles market is shrinking, according to sales figures released this week by Warren Buffett's backed Chinese automaker BID. BID released that it sold a whopping 641,000 new energy vehicles or full battery and electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids hits in the first 6 months of 2022, according to a company filing. That sales figure marks an increase about 314% compared to the same period 1 year earlier. BID sold more than 134,000 vehicles in June, according to the series. Can you fuck off? Okay. By comparison, Elon Musk Tesla sold 564,743 vehicles during the first half of 2022, a tumultuous period for which the company scrambled to overcome a lengthy shutdown at a key production plant in Shanghai and other supply-related disruptions. So yeah, blah 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 blah. Buffett's conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway held a 7.7% stake in BID as of April that was worth more than $9 billion. The company spent $232 million to acquire its initial stake in the Chinese firm in 2008. So yeah, there's that. We're gonna quickly power through the next two articles. First, we have the ROG Phone 6 and the ROG Phone 6 Pro. Pretty cool, right? Asus got a new phone that's somehow even more uglier than the last one. Okay, hot take. It's too late for the hot take. Okay, hot take. The ROG Phone 2 is the best looking phone of all time. Like that, like those lines that it had, like the straight line, like rainbow colored lines were the best thing ever. Like I went out of my way to design a case for my old phone that looked exactly like that with all the lines. So yeah, we have a successor to that. We have the ROG Phone 6 and the ROG Phone 6 Pro. And to be fair, I don't hate it. The problem with it is this. It looks like it's off-centered. This is so big that it's look like, like how the S10 lineup from Samsung had the middle thing, or any LG phone. That's how it's supposed to look. This just looks like it's off-centered, and it's really, really annoying for some reason. Also, this design, seriously, I mean, we'll get to that. This is actually no. Last time it was a dot matrix display, but this doesn't look really good. It just has stupid branding all over it. I wish there were more of these lines. That's all I wanted. So yeah, both run Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processors. The normal flagships run 8 Gen 1. This is 8 Gen 8 Plus, so better overclocking, better efficiency, whatever. It comes with up to 512 gigabytes of storage. They both have 6.7-inch 8 OLED screens that refresh up to 165 hertz, which is, I don't know how much. This display is 120 hertz and 720 hertz sampling rates. They've got 6,000 mAh batteries. The phone 6 will start at 999 pounds or about $1,200, and this by 1,200 pounds or about $1,500. They're set to launch in the UK and Europe first, and always say it comes to the US, India, and elsewhere later. The ROG Phone 6 comes in black and white. The 6 Pro only comes in. Why? Okay, it's too late in the night for me to get angry. Why? Which loser games on a white phone? Okay. Okay, whatever. The biggest difference between the two models is the second OLED screen on the back of the 6 Pro, which is sort of cool looking, but generally not very typical. You can get a bit more RAM. You can get 18 gigabytes of memory on the Pro. Oh, and yeah, uh, Asus is clearly trying to build a phone you can also use as an everyday device. Yes, that is the main problem with gaming phones. People usually only buy, one phone or one laptop or one computer, but no one is going to buy two phones and have one entire for gaming and one for your other things. It's just like a supercar. You love to have it, you love to use it, but you're not gonna drive that to RB or to Hardee's or McDonald's every day. Sure, it works, but camera lacking, the design is not really good in my opinion, and it'll have flaws that Asus will fix in the future because Asus is very community driven. They do listen to their community actually. A 360-degree CPU cooling technology. How the fuck are you gonna cool the pads? Like the pads that connect to the okay, whatever. That it's Asus. They do stuff whatever they want. The vapor chamber is 30% larger now. Even this thing has a cooler built into it. Imagine how cool that is. Haha, funny joke. Anyway, uh, you can probably even as cloud gaming brings more high powered games to your smartphone, you just don't need as much as on device power to make them work well. The RG phone is a cool device, but it doesn't seem like a very practical one. Yes, it is massively over spec. It's got the highest specs, it's got a really good display, but you wouldn't want to use it as your main phone. Can you rely on Asus to charge to regularly update their phones or release updates for their phones? Can you really count on them? Probably not. That's why I would stick to some major brands like Samsung or Xiaomi. So yeah, there is that new phone that is launched. Aaron, aka Mr. Who's the Boss, he also no, not that, dude. Marcus Brownlee from MKBSD also drop a video that I'll have in the description down below. I'm just too tired to listen to it. Next smartphone launched the Mi 12s Ultra. Once again, Xiaomi's answer to the S22 Ultra. Still, if I had to choose the S22 Ultra, I would choose it over both of these. It's pretty good. So yeah, it looks like that, which they ditched the back, like the back small display that they had on the Mi 11 Ultra for some reason, and now it just looks like it's got one big camera and one small camera there and one small camera there. They could have put it up here so it would have looked symmetrical, but no, dumb. Also, this is a collab with Leica, I think, because that says Leica there. Anyway, Xiaomi is introducing a trio of smartphones today. Hey, and yeah, blah 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 blah. 6.37-inch OLED display, top of the line Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, and 48 megapixel, no, 48 megapixel ultra wide, 48 megapixel telephoto, 5x optical zoom, and 120x digital zoom, and finally the 50 megapixel main camera, which uses that 1-inch sensor. Yes, this phone has a sensor size of 1 inch, meaning massive low light performance, and a lot of light can get in from different places. Yeah, massive low light performance, and that's basically the thing. A few different companies have put the 1-inch phones, 1-inch sensors in the phone, but yeah, it's the is you'll find it in larger cameras like the Sony RX100, which is a point-and-shoot DSLR. But yeah, there's that. Here's all the specs. Come on, hurry up. So yeah, here's all the specs. I will have it in the description. And I think, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I have to end the live stream there. I am very tired, and yeah, I have wanted to talk about a lot of stuff, but I will try and cover a lot of it on the Saturday show. So yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it for today's live stream. Thank you all so much for watching, and once again, I'm Aero, and I am out. soon. So yeah, bye.